Hi, GitHub Copilot was released in October 2021, and we're now in early 2026, and a lot has happened in the space of AI coding tools, right? So there's been discussions on vibe coding, and is that a good thing, a bad thing, does it work? And discussions on, do these tools actually help engineering teams deliver better software faster? So what we're going to do in this series is to give you an introduction to what we call Agentic DevOps and see how you can implement what is needed so that GitHub Copilot can deliver the outcomes that you actually want. Let's go. So this being the first video of the series, let's just do a quick run through of what we're going to talk about. And we're going to start with the foundations. Answering the question, what does Agentic DevOps actually mean? And we'll talk about AI across the SDLC, the software development lifecycle. What is chat mode and coding agents and custom agents? And then what are agent types and even sub-agents and how you can delegate work from one to the other. Then we go into start shipping, and this answers the question, where should we begin? And here we'll talk about context engineering, which is the practice of bringing instructions, contexts, hooks, and other primitives that deliver the outcomes that we actually want from the AI coding tools like GitHub Copilot. We'll also talk about MCP servers and how they enable you to connect to basically anything like APIs and databases, even production systems, things like that. And finally, multi-agent orchestration. To end the series, this is the topic that most customers are asking about, app modernization. This answers the question, what delivers immediate value? And we'll talk about how you can very quickly, instead of months, it's now a matter of days or sometimes even hours. How can you modernize Java and .NET applications? And we actually have tooling built specifically for that on top of Copilot. And also, without custom tooling, how to modernize a PHP application. And finally, the most complex one, how to re-architect a monolith into microservices. So let's get started with the first one. What is Agentic DevOps and AI native development in early 2026? And by the time we get to late 2026, I'm pretty sure a lot of things will be different given the speed that we are moving at. But the core concepts of what we're going to talk about should remain mostly the same. Back in the day, DevOps came along to be the union of people, processes, and technology to enable continuous delivery of value to end users. And it proved to be the right thing to do. Right? So we ship better software faster. But there was a piece missing from this, which is security. And security was left to the security team once software was in production. It did not work. And so DevSecOps came along, which brought security as a shared responsibility. And a shift left is a term which is commonly used. We want to catch security issues as early as possible in the software development lifecycle. And now we're at the age of Agentic DevOps, where we bring in AI-powered agents operating as a member of your dev team to automate and accelerate every stage of the software development lifecycle. So if you think about this in waves, wave one was called code completion, was when we thought of GitHub Copilot and this kind of tools as pair programmers. We would ask them a question, they would give us the answer. Or we would write a function header and they would complete the function. Valuable, but not as much as what we have today. Wave 2 is called Agentic SDLC, a software development lifecycle. This is where we see these kinds of tools as peer programmers that help us in all stages of the software development lifecycle bring AI to accelerate software delivery. And finally, we have Wave 3, where we call it hybrid teams, where teams of humans and agents collaborate together to deliver faster and better. The focus of this series is Wave 2 and getting you up to speed on Agentic SDLC. And I think the best way to show this is to actually look at an example. So what we have here is a Ruby on Rails application, but basically could be just about anything, right? And this application, what it does is it shows artists from Spotify, and for each artist, a popularity score, which is a number between 0 and 100. Now, we want to make this look just a bit better, not just text. So we have a requirement, which is a GitHub issue, but could be in Jira, could be in Azure DevOps, could be in any tool where you capture requirements, that says, hey, you know what? Popularity score is a number between 0 and 100. Make it a star system between 1 and 5, and use the font awesome library. And important, keep the popularity score text, always place 5 stars, even if all are empty, and fill the stars according to the number between 1 and 5. So this is the prompt that we're actually going to use. So in wave 1, what we would do is take this text, go to Copilot, and now you see here that we are in ask mode. And this is, we have the code that actually renders that. We select it, we paste the issue text here, we send it to Copilot, and it's going to give us an answer, right? And here's the code that I should use, and it's explaining why. So now I can say, click that text, that button, insert that cursor, and if we look at the application now, there's our star system. It worked, but this is not really agentic, right? So there's a lot of manual work. So what we want to do is we want to go back, and we want to start a new session, remove the file here. We don't need that file open. And here, we're going to change to agent, right? So agent is where GitHub Copilot can actually edit, create, delete files, call comments, call APIs, things like that. This is where we get started in agentic kind of way, an agentic SDLC. And I could paste the issue text here, but there's actually a better way to do it. Because, Copilot, through something called MCP servers, is connected to GitHub. So if I say this is issue number 7, oops, sorry. If I say implement GitHub issue 7, GitHub Copilot will now select the tools it needs to use from MCP servers. We'll talk about this in a later episode. We'll just say enable. And it's using the GitHub MCP server to look into issue number 7 and then understand my code base and know exactly where it needs to apply the changes. And it creates a to-do list, which in this case is just one task. And it says it has been updated. So if we look at the file changed, here's the changes it did. And now let's see how it looks. There you go. So same output, but completely different way of working. One was wave 1, ask, gives us the code, explains why, we copy paste it. Second one, we just tell it, and it does everything it needs to do to understand our code base, connect to external systems, and implement what it has to implement. Much, much faster. Now, you can think of GitHub Copilot as the new command center, the agentic layer on top of your software development lifecycle, all the way from creation to collaboration, through pull requests, through issues, to code reviews, to security reviews, all the way into production and how you operate software. So where is GitHub Copilot available? We just saw it in the IDE. This is one. It's in Visual Studio Code, but it's in other IDEs as well. And just a quick nugget, usually when we announce a feature, it's first released on Visual Studio Code and then to the other ones. So if you see a new feature announcement, it's possible that for a given time period, it's only available on Visual Studio Code, and then it rolls out to the other ones. It's also available in the CLI. And if we look at our terminal, I could just say Copilot, and now we have GitHub Copilot running and loading the same MCP servers, the same instructions, the same agents. We'll talk about this later. And some people are, doing some work in the IDE, some work in the CLI. Some people are ditching the IDE completely. And, you can select models, use agents, do a lot of things just in the CLI. So this is another way of doing it. But it's also available in github.com as a coding agent. We'll have an episode just focused on that. And the code review agent to automatically do code reviews on pull requests. This is a massive productivity boost. Create PR summaries, and a huge topic, automatically fix security issues. And let's see, actually, just a tiny bit of that. I have this issue here. What I could have done instead of using the IDE is say, assign this to Copilot. And then Copilot would autonomously implement this issue, open a pull request, so I could validate that the issue was implemented. And finally, this is recent, we have the GitHub Copilot SDK, and this is where you can build your own application which uses GitHub Copilot and all of the agents, and custom agents, and MCP servers, and so on, to, you have your own application, but you still take advantage of everything that GitHub Copilot offers you. And we're seeing quite some cool scenarios built with SDK. Now, common to all of them, we have MCP servers, we have custom agents, we have multiple models, whether you want to use OpenAI models or Anthropic models or Google models, or even bring your own model. You can do it here. And finally, the practice of context engineering. How can we set up our environment in a way that the outcome is precisely what we want? This works across all of the channels where Copilot is available. So just so you can get started, what are some foundational use cases, the ones you can start doing today? Obviously, code completion has been here for long time, but also code refactoring and optimization. Maybe you want the code to be more readable, more maintainable. Erase some technical debt. Number 3, generate documentation. Keep documentation up to date. And that's something that teams are doing a lot with GitHub Copilot. Generating tests, tests for edge cases, asking Copilot to give you edge cases you haven't thought of. You can use it for that. Bug fixing, that's for sure. But also code conversion. Maybe you want to, there's an application written in some language, you want to do a new version on another language, you can ask Copilot to do the translation for you. And this is not just about developers. Also for ops people, and even, I've seen teams where product owners are using GitHub Copilot and designers are using GitHub Copilot. Infrastructure as code and automation. GitHub Copilot can help you generate YAML files, Docker containers, connect to Azure or other clouds and help you decide on the right architecture, things like that. Number 8, it's the big one, application modernization. You can finally take away all of that technical debt that's been slowing you down and preventing you from releasing fast and getting new features out. Now you have a tool where I've personally worked with customers that have modernized applications in less than a day. This is unheard of until now. For DBAs, optimize SQL queries, or even more than that, migrate from one database engine to another. That makes more sense for your organization now. And finally, learning and skill development. Think of Copilot as your mentor. You can use it to understand the code base. Even if the documentation is up to date, maybe you want to know things which are not in the documentation. You want to know exactly where something is done. Just ask Copilot. I hope this was useful. This was the first episode of many. We'll see you in the next one.